This is episode 5. If you don't know us, thank you for joining us for the first time. I'm Rob.
James.
I'm Jay.
We normally have an Andrew. He stands about here, yay tall, lots of hair gel, and an attitude.
Good attitude.
Good attitude, indeed. But, anyway, if you're watching, we'll try to read comments from my phone.
If you're
way over
watching,
there,
bless
TV
you.
Yeah. See, sorry, we encountered a loading error. Oh well, we're broadcasting, so that's all we got. As we mentioned last time, just gonna bug you, huh?
It is.
Just don't want to stare at a grid.
Just talk. Ignore me.
We're going to discuss some TV shows today that influenced us, impacted us in some way, shape, or form as kids. No specific number, I assume. I don't have a specific number. We'll just go and comment on them until we're done.
Until we run out.
Yeah.
Adults, whatever.
Well,
Hey,
something that made an impact on us at some point in our existences. Who wants to...
We're going to go through our normal pet peeves and retales, so...
Did you do this?
no.
You're a terrible person. Anyway, who wants to go first?
Let's go through our pet peeves first. That's our normal rundown.
Okay.
Pet peeves, top 5, and then we'll do our retales at the end. That way we don't get all of our negativity in one.
Alright, Jay, you go first.
Shit.
Let's break this in.
Well, since mine's a week to week, I find something new that bugs me. I have nothing this week. I got nothing to bother me.
Overnights have been that great, and
Jay is at a good point in his life where everything is...
I'm actually in a good mood right
we
now.
should skip this, Ted, and not sully it. We'll make him angry.
I have the retail one I'm going to steal from somebody else, but right now, I'm in a general good mood. I don't know when, since I saw somebody walking down the street on the way here, and they're not pajama pants, but they're those nicely designed pants
Zubas or
people
whatever.
wear. Kinda, but it's a
Stretch
guy.
skins.
But it's also like pulled down below his ass, and his shirt is almost waist, so it's not even low. So I don't know. I don't know when that started happening, but it looks terrible and retarded. I feel bad for anybody 20 and under now because they're just a waste.
Like, if you're not going to clothe the middle portion, why wear clothes?
I don't know what happened to the baggy
How did
pants.
bikinis ever happen?
Well, I don't know what happened to the baggy pants from like the 90s,
Mid-Octobers.
and it turned into skinny jeans. Like, I don't know when that happened.
Lil Wayne happened. Lil Wayne decided he wanted to cross over into skate culture. And ruined it for everyone.
Way to lead us off.
Yeah.
I have nothing. We're clearly just here wasting time. You have anything?
Sounds great. Yes.
Why didn't you start?
Because.
It's a team effort.
Yeah, change it up. I started before. He started before.
Fine.
Pretty sure Andrew started before.
We just throw darts and hit whatever.
Yeah.
You're it.
Yeah. My annoyance is, my pet peeve is reliance on today's lingo. I didn't really pay much attention to it until I was talking to someone at a recent event that I attended, and she referred to her friends as her squad, and she used the term LOL in conversation. And
How old was this person?
16.
Okay.
Good.
I mean, I would have been like, so you're a cheerleader if you have
So
a squad.
that's following my 20 and under being useless.
I said 30 for a long time, and I was under 30 at the time. That's just everyone else my age I thought was...
Sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just... The evening went on, and things would be said that I just, like... Every time, just... Stop it. Can we not talk?
LOL.
Well, I mean, I know that I'm going to be the old man that's just sitting there grouchy of how everything is. Like, I've been that way for, years now. So, I'm totally in agreement with you. Like, why are we this way? Why are they changing the school system? Why are people doing... Like, why do we not actually write anything down with pen and pencil anymore? I don't know. Clearly, there's just this craziness in society that I don't understand. And I'm sure the language has a lot to do with it.
Yeah. Also, had a chance, this will be for next episode, but it's kind of a teaser. Had a chance to listen to an album that has taken off quite successfully in modern music. And I would like to, I haven't yet, but I want to sit down and just shred it. It's terrible.
Is
it's
it Ryan
awful.
Adams?
It's not Ryan Adams. Ryan Adams is
The hell's
multitude
Ryan
better.
Adams?
Huh?
Oh. You're older than me.
What?
Yes, who Ryan Adams was, or what Ryan Adams is.
Not Brian Adams.
I know who Brian Adams is.
Okay. Well, anyway,
It's just a specific artist that I thought, well, you know what? In my driving, because I went to Parkersburg yesterday, and thought, I'll give it a listen. Listen to the album through once.
that was it.
And I was going to, I was planning on listening through it again to pick up things I might have missed the first time around. I don't think I can do it, though. I think it's...
I don't know what you listen to, but you should listen to Monsters and Men because it's better than that.
Yes. Anything is better than that. The white noise of people doing construction work is better than that. Anyway, all right.
Mine is just general rudeness. Like, why have we become rude as a society to where no one has any concern for other human beings? I'd like to think that I'm one of those live and let live type person, no matter what your religious affinity or your sexual orientation or belief system may be. As long as you're not bothering me, then have at it. Go live your life.
Merry
So
Christmas.
I don't understand why everyone feels like they have to push everything on everyone else, and why if someone doesn't agree with someone, they have to be rude about it.
This all stems from that coffee cup thing. From
I am
Starbucks,
furious
doesn't
about the coffee cup.
Once again, I don't understand that. Like, why is that the most important thing in someone's existence? Like, okay, you changed your cup, good for you. I can either drink someone else's coffee, I can just worry about what's in the cup since that's what I'm actually purchasing, or,
No, you have to consider the whole gamut. Remember, you vote by using your money. That's what you support, is the things you spend money on.
I mean, if you want to get into who all we've supported and the beliefs and the morals of each and every company that's been successful throughout the history of the U.S., I'm sure you'll find that not everyone has a great moral compass.
No. No one has a great moral compass.
I'd like to thank those sweatshop workers for my shoes. They are fantastic.
I mean, along that topic, though,
It's Thanksgiving. You should be thankful.
I hate that everyone
Here's an extra
gets
nickel.
caught up in that. Like, you're not buying beliefs, you're buying a product. I don't know. This is all just crazy stuff to me. I've never understood why, like, Walmart took a big stance at one point about not selling Maxim. And it's like, well, you sell alcohol and you sell cigarettes. These things kill more people than anything you would deem pornographic or unfit.
Heaven forbid. How does Europe survive?
There's not even like nudity in Maxim.
I know.
If anything, it's like a what's the car one?
Like, I know.
Card Muffler magazine?
Any car
Well,
magazine.
the car one that just has
like
bikini
Hot
ones.
Rod
That's-
or something.
Yeah,
That's- I don't understand that. It's like, well, tobacco and alcohol make us so much money, and millions of people enjoy that. It's a lot bigger portion of the society than people that read Maxim. So let's take a stand about this. It makes it look like we have high morals. It's like, but we don't really, because we want the money from the other stuff.
We want to have high morals until it reaches into our pocket and takes money out.
I mean, I think everyone has skewed morals. You pick your battles and you pick what you think is, and they're all, to me, odd. So I'm all fine with, well, you like to drink, you drink. If you end up running into a pole later, then please don't run into me.
That's the bed you made, you sleep in it.
Yeah, as long as you don't run into me, and hopefully you don't run into someone else. I mean, if you smoke, please smoke in a confined room.
With no ventilation. Die, you horrible bastard.
Same with even food now, though. It's like, if you want to eat and be unhealthy, then do that. You're only affecting you. Please don't push it on the rest of the world. Like, those are all fine. I just think it's odd because people get on their little soapbox and they fight about all of those. That's not where my rudeness thing came from, though. It's just if you're in line, people are rude about everything. People complain that they have to wait for 10 seconds, and then they get up there, and then they're rude to the person who's checking them out, who has nothing to do with it. Like, they didn't schedule the people that are there. They're just doing their job. If someone doesn't have something in stock, then they take it out on the person stocking who has nothing to do with ordering of that item.
You just ruined my Christmas.
Yeah.
And my kids' Christmas.
So, I mean, things like that, I don't understand. I went to a movie. Don't do that very often, but it's like, how many times do you go to a movie and there's, like, some kid screaming and, like, people make a scene? I had that one time. People got into an argument because a kid was screaming and someone
Get your kid out of here. No, I'm not taking my kid out.
Yeah.
I paid for this movie. It's like, I get to see it.
Modern parenting. It's like, well, when he's done crying, he'll stop. And me and Andrew are trying to watch Star Trek.
And we're all 3 child free, so it's not fair because Andrew's not here to defend parents. But I was actually talking to my wife about. I think we should have child free restaurants and like movie theaters. Like I think I should open that.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. What?
It's called Dave and Buster's. It's pretty much a bar.
It's an adult Chuck E. Cheese.
Children cannot go in there.
Not that I don't love kids. Kids are great when
there's someone else's.
When they have rules and structure and they don't run wild. Like kids with good parenting are good kids. Kids without good parenting are what most of our society is now.
Is that thing?
And that's why there's rudeness. I mean, and you'll see when we start getting into shows that had influence, you'll see where some of my beliefs come from. So, oh well. Anyway, that's mine. Why can't we be nicer? I try to say thank you. I try to say no thank you. Try to be a nice guy.
Yeah, basic human decency.
I would like to be able to stop and help people next to the road, but I'm afraid they'll murder me now, so I can't do that any longer.
Yeah, or they'll claim you, like, raped them or something. Even if it's a guy, yeah, he's gonna rape me. It's like...
It's a horror movie start.
I mean,
It's also a porno start.
Desensitized.
I just go drive around in my little shell and hope that no one bothers me, stops me, asks me for anything, because you never know what's going to end up happening. We
should all just be bubble boys and just bounce off each other.
Okay.
But then we get offended that we bounced off each other. Your bubble touched my bubble.
Moving on.
All right.
We're taking a long time on this. No, not on the whole thing.
Date?
No, just the pet peeves were taking a long time.
Oh.
Anyway.
I want us to have a structure.
Moving along.
Great. For our next segment.
For our next segment that has no structure because it's just random numbers of however many.
Well, we're going to have a countdown clock.
Alright, so.
You want to Photoshop one on there later?
Influential TV shows for Rob.
First and foremost, The Magic School Bus. As a kid growing up, it absolutely ballooned my interest in science. Science became one of my favorite topics in school, favorite subjects. If you could teach me something, I was happy to learn it. And in more recent years, I've noticed that I've kind of drifted away from that. And it's neat because every once in a while something will pique that interest. And I'm like, back when I actually wanted to, like, figure things out. Like, when looking at the sky was amazing.
Back when I had hopes and dreams.
When I would sit and look inside of a planetarium. That's a museum show projection thing. I don't know that they have those anymore, do they?
The stars?
Yeah.
Yes.
Do they still do planetariums in
We
school?
sell, well, not at school.
Yeah, it freaking the Clay Center.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it used to be sunrise.
I can go
right?
get a light and put a bunch of dots on it and be like, man, planetarium.
No, not if you don't have the Big Dipper and the North Star. And...
Okay. All right. But, I loved science and learning space and underwater, and it's why I'm really drawn to the new Viewmasters.
They're pretty cool.
Because I just want to stand around in space or underwater or in Time of the Dinosaurs and just be like, this is really cool.
If you haven't seen the new Viewmaster, it's supposed to be 3D and like environmental world.
Yeah, it's a virtual reality.
Yeah, there you go.
It's the equivalent of the cardboard Google Cardboard, I think, but with a much better headset. Uses your phone. You just put it in there. It'll support up to like 6S of tablet phones.
You're gonna be that guy that's walking around in an Oculus, bumping into stuff all the time. Like, it's awesome.
I'm sorry, sir. Sorry, ma'am. I didn't mean to touch your child. No. Anyway, who's next?
You got one?
I'll go ahead and go and say MASH.
All right.
I enjoy that. Except, I'm sure some people might disagree. I don't like the last episode, but that's beside the point. Entire series, it's funny, it's serious, it's a good show, and you can pretty much watch it all at the same time. I enjoy it every time I watch it.
Did you learn was it useful to
Well,
you?
you learn. I mean, it was like filmed in the 70s. Takes place in the 50s during the Korean War, so you learn about that and other stuff. And yeah, I mean, you learn stuff in there. It's not just mundane retardedness. It's entertaining. It's funny. It shows the ravages of war, all that. It's a good show.
I haven't seen a lot of it. My mom loves it.
I didn't like it until college.
The last episode was like
I've
where everybody
also
talked
watched
about. Like, it was
all
good,
this.
but it's like the whole series goes to this point. Then the last episode's just different.
I wanted to talk about this because I was looking for some deep dramas and I was wanting some impactful shows, but apparently I'm not deep enough to get into that. So that's why I thought maybe if we just talked about things that were impactful to us, on a personal basis, it would be better. The show that I was thinking about when I brought up the topic was the Newsroom with the HBO show, which I think is a pretty awesome show. Jeff Daniels.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. It has a lot of current event topics and everything. Not a personally impactful show. I just think it's a really well done show that touches on a lot of social issues that we should focus on more. So I'll at least bring that up because that's why I was actually getting into this. And then I started thinking about some other shows that that might be cultural shows. I actually think like The Office from the UK version because it brought about the one over here, and then there's a bunch of shows that do that little like documentary type thing now. So I mean that's pretty different.
Yeah, that really kind of started with this handy cam.
Like CSI started this whole crime scene, thing.
Survivor reality.
Yeah, some different things like that. But anyway, that's what I was thinking along. But of course, most of those, it's just starting a genre, and if you're not familiar with that or it didn't touch you in some way, then there's not a whole lot of them. So personal ones for me, the biggest one for me would probably be The Simpsons. Because it's why I ended up working at a toy store, because I went there all the time to get Simpsons toys, and I thought it might be a cool place to work. So it's why, like, a 12-year portion of my life happened And I think there's a lot of things in the show as far as humor that I relate to and I find hilarious. And then the older I get, there's different things I find funny compared to what I used to because there's lots of different little jokes in it. So, sadly though, I don't watch like the last 12 years. I just watched the first 12 over and over. And
Yeah.
But that's an awesome show and it's still on. So
See, I think the more recent stuff's funnier. It's a lot more modern. Just they've tried to pick up the humor I liked, where they're trying to compete with Family Guy and stuff. So I almost enjoy that more.
Well, John Swartzwelder used to write for him, and Conan O'Brien used to write for him too. But Swartzwelder done a lot of stuff that was really odd, and me being the grouchy old man related to those a lot more. There's one Homer against the 16th Amendment about them having prohibition, which is pretty funny, and just a lot of off the wall like old stuff. Anything that has Mr. Burns that has a really long portion. You know, him talking about how much you can buy with a nickel, little things like that that are just real old-time references, usually. Yeah. And
Are drawn to, yeah.
That's the kind of stuff that I thought was real funny, and, you know, those are the early seasons, and, you know, he wrote for a lot of those. So anything he wrote, I think, is just phenomenal.
Next.
No.
Okay.
Alright. I'm going to say South Park.
Alright.
You can like South Park, too.
Well, yeah, well, for a lot of the same reasons you just
I mean,
mentioned, the cultural references, and it's nice to...
Started in 97, so it's going on, season 18 now-ish?
I don't know, 19, 18...
It went...
No
No,
signs
it didn't
of...
go off, did it? That was just
No.
Family Guy.
No real signs of stopping. They do current events, so each episode's written in a week. So something happened last week could be next week's episode. And I've argued with my mom before about it's like this. Oh, you're watching cartoons. The amount of crap you learn from a show like because it's true stuff. Like every bit about Scientology that they talk about, A, is true, and B, if you aren't anywhere aware of it, it teaches you that. So, I mean, it's a good show. It's funny. It's dirty, so that's also part of what I like about it.
I haven't
That
seen
kind of
any since,
raunchy
like,
comedy.
season 5. I did see the one that had all the different characters in it. It's like a big 2-part episode. I forget what. I want to say Tomorrowland, but that's not what it's called.
Imagination Land?
Yeah, I watched that. I thought it was pretty funny. But I haven't seen anything since like season 5.
Since I haven't had cable in a long time, like I started buying them. I have all 15 or 16 that are out, except for the newest, which came out without me knowing, but I'm going to buy that like next week. So,
my thoughts on it are it is culturally relevant, and it kind of is a nice way to say, hey, don't take things so seriously. Like, chill out. Don't worry about it. But this has come from a guy, I don't care for South Park, typically. I've just grown to like it a little in the last probably 2 seasons, 3 seasons, and I've only seen probably 5 or 6 episodes even then from those seasons. I've seen some older stuff, of course. But, yeah.
I like Butters a lot, and Tweak.
like the
one with
current
the
ones.
Next week, we're going to get an episode about the Red Cup.
Probably. Well,
It's going to be in there.
the current season that's going on, because I've caught a couple episodes, because my older brother's taping them and DVRing them. Sorry, I'm older, so it's taping them.
I would still refer to as taping them
The
as well.
entire season that they're doing is almost like one long story. Like right now, they have like PC Principal, and
That is
they got in trouble for
probably
talking.
the best thing they've added.
They got in trouble for talking
years
about
is the PC Principal.
Bruce / Caitlyn Jenner because it's a beautiful woman. Blah blah blah. Like it was just funny them talking about
It's
it.
so good. The PC Principal stuff is. I can't believe that they were able to refresh it and keep it so good.
And like one I just saw was
PC bro.
bunch of Asian girls draw these little caricatures of Butters and Craig and Tweak, and basically make them gay. Then the whole thing is, well, what's wrong with being gay, even though they're not? And it turns out they try to be all. It's funny. it's going with stuff that happened a month ago, so it's actually relevant in what's going on. And if that's where you get your modern culture and news,
I just
it's just as honest as any other news source at this point.
I just think that once again, like, why do people get so offended about South Park? It's like they're not bothering you, so who cares?
well,
Like,
that was
South Park's not even edgy anymore. I mean,
that was
as
a
far
big
as
argument with like when Isaac Hayes left, where he was making fun of all the other when they went through the whole gambit of different religions. And all of a sudden they got Scientology, and he got offended and quit the show. So that's
did not realize he was a Scientologist.
I mean, I just it reminds me, and I don't know. There are a lot of people that say things like, you know, South Park's overboard, and they're so offensive because of this or this or this, and it's just like, well, why are you offended by them? Like, they're just having fun. If they're having fun offends you, then you know, maybe you should.
Where's your priorities?
Yeah, I never thought that Marilyn Manson was the reason that people murdered other people. You know, I was just like, maybe you should look at
He's just
education.
being different from what else is around.
Yeah.
He just offends you because he doesn't fall in line.
Somebody's like, well, that offends me. It's like, well, then why the hell are you even like looking at it? Don't pay attention to it. Like this small little sect that enjoys it. It's like, well, Grand Theft Auto causes violence. No, it doesn't. You're an idiot.
To me, it's like that mindset, though, is where wars come from. Like, you're wrong, and you offend me, and I want to make you right.
Freak the shit out of me.
No, I mean, really, like in the Middle East,
it
was just like, oh, okay, you're a Christian.
That works for you. That works for you.
Yeah.
That doesn't work for me. This does. Cool. Have a good day. And instead, it's like, no, I gotta fix you and you and you. Peace by superior firepower.
Oh, you like South Park? Good for you. That's not my cup of tea. It's not how my humor works. I'm offended by that, so I choose to watch something else.
I'd rather watch the Three Stooges.
Yeah.
It's much classier.
The only vindication it has is Trey Parker and Matt Stone don't give a shit what people say. So if somebody's like, well, I don't like that. I don't care about your show. And they're like, screw you. Watch what we do next. And that's the refreshing part of it.
As far as another show, toss up between Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Batman. Just from a, like, instill the idea of superhero. That's how superhero works. That's how justice versus scum.
Vigilantism.
Yeah.
Right and wrong perceptions.
Right. I mean, didn't have any parents to instill right and wrong, so I took it from a TV show. No, it was just, I don't know. It was probably my first exposure to, like, police and to that thing that, like, crime fighting and stuff like that. As far as Ninja Turtles go, just the good versus bad. I don't know.
See, I mean, cartoon-wise, like I always had the Disney stuff, and there's some of that. I mean, DuckTales has good, you know, robbers and Beagle Boys and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's a little bit of good and bad. I remember the Batman stuff. It was pretty cool. I think it's an awesome show. We were watching some the other day. It's on Amazon Prime or something. It
still holds up.
Yeah. But
unlike Ninja Turtles, it's atrocious. It's like G1 Transformers. It's rough. It's hard to watch.
It is.
For me, and in order to speed this up, I'll just talk about a couple at one time. My parents were older, so I watched a lot of TV Land, Nick at Night at the time. Andy Griffith and Dick Van Dyke were two shows that were on a lot. I Love Lucy and Green Acres, all that was on. But the ones that I relate to the most, I would say had the biggest impact, would be the Dick Van Dyke Show and Andy Griffith. And a lot of that's just like the morals and the belief system and everything, I think was in line with a lot of the stuff that I got from my family and different things like that. So I've always thought that, you know, they were entertaining. I always thought that they were funny, and My parents loved Andy Griffith, so those are some things that I still like now. I wish we had this nice black and white life where people weren't rude
Pleasantville,
all the time.
James.
Yeah, I mean,
Pleasantville.
I never really was the biggest fan of Andy Griffith. I always watched, I remember Nick at Night, and it was good. Dick Van Dyke, Dobie Gillis was good.
Yeah, I remember W. Gillis was on there, Patty Duke. I don't know. There's a bunch of old shows. I like that stuff.
Okay. You want me to go over my next three?
Yeah.
For the next one, I was going to say Lost, because it was a fantastic show for the 6 seasons. It was a confusing show, and pretty much it set up, because that was popular, is why we have movies like Cloverfield, Star Trek, and now the new Star Wars. I know Rob doesn't like Lost, but it was an amazing show.
It's cool. Fog monsters are awesome.
Don't poke holes in one little thing. You just don't understand the show.
I only saw a few episodes, and I just this isn't
going to be like, why do you have a problem? Why you have a problem with that? And I'm sure there's some other movie that has some other supernatural being that you have no problem at all.
Yeah, probably. Because that's how life is. It sucks. I'm right, you're wrong.
There's a real Superman that flies around.
Right, exactly.
After that, I was going to say Smallville, because Superman fan. I really enjoyed that show. It was good. Plus, it mirrored when I was started in 01, and it kind of mirrored when I was in high school, so it went along with that. Because for the first 4 years, he's in high school, and after that, just progresses the timeline.
And it may have been the first of the superhero brought to TV, like putting realism.
Mm-hmm.
I think Smallville was the first one that was successful anyway.
Yeah, they said
and it's the reason
that was to Clark.
Yeah.
Dean Cain.
Yeah. But I'd say it's probably the reason that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Arrow, and all that stuff exists is because of the success of...
And the last one I was going to throw out there was, got a bunch of crap on this list, but I'm going to say Stargate. And I guess I'm going to go with the original, the SG-1. Ran for 10 seasons. Had a spin-off of Atlantis that went for 5. Had a new one, Universe, that went for 2. But it started in, I want to say 97. It's like the longest running sci-fi series ever. Fantastic show. Rob doesn't like it because the effects were crappy, which of course it was a TV show. They got better because they started getting more money, kind of like I'm assuming.
But I watch lots of crappy effect TV shows
modern
too.
ones do, but start getting more money. It ended up being a lot better.
Firefly was pretty atrocious.
And it's a good story too.
Anything with the MacGyver, right?
Yeah. What's wrong with Richard Dean Anderson?
Nothing.
He makes shows.
A lot of MacGyver.
What else you got?
Just kind of as a blanket thing, anything that was scary. Movies, TV shows.
Were you afraid of the dark?
Professional wrestling. The Undertaker. My mom to this day claims that had I not ever watched The Undertaker as a wrestler, I wouldn't be fascinated with darkness and death and the things that I am now. The music I listen to and all that, she's like, it all came from then. Well, alright. So, I mean, I guess that had a pretty
big impact.
Pretty big impact. So we'll go with Monday Night Raw. Yeah.
I was going to talk, if we were doing 5, Friends, Seinfeld, be my other 2. They're both kind of similar in the fact that they were, started in the 90s and everything. Seinfeld clearly had a lot bigger impact on television. But there's just a lot of stuff in it that I think is very amusing. And I liked how they took, like you were talking about with South Park, they would take, cultural topics and do their spin on it. Like
it's still funny today.
Yeah, like the JFK thing or the Nancy Kerrigan and all that. Like just the way they did it was amusing. And with Friends, I was in high school and everybody kind of watched it. And
Yeah, it was
wanted
the
see
thing
what
to
was
do.
going on. Yeah. So,
But Seinfeld was almost that new, because it was that borderline inappropriate or dirtiness where somebody watches it. And they probably got easily offended by it and didn't watch it. And that kind of started that. And
It's edgy.
except for the first season, at times it's kind of rough. But of course, that's the first season of a show. But after that, it got a lot better. And it's still funny today.
yeah. Awesome show.
I don't care if I ever see Friends again. I've seen that show so often. And all the episodes, I think I'm good till I die. Because they're stored up here.
Yeah.
Now, all of the last, 6 seasons or whatever. Like, the last season I like to watch over and over would be the one where, Joey moves out. Those are pretty funny. They have the Adam Golden or whatever his name moves in. I think those are pretty funny just because he's odd. Different type of humor. More along the lines of everything else they'll watch.
Yeah.
Oh, the fish tank dude, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I know what you're talking about.
Alright, let's move on. How many retales you got?
I guess I'll start.
I really wanted to talk about the whole return and the lady and her child, but I'm not going to get into that. We'll save that. It's too good of a story. We'll save it for a much later episode.
I'm going to steal a co-worker's. We're on overnight, and he because you have to have certain people that you can have work the electronics, because you kind of got to trust that they're not going to steal a bunch of crap. So, and now that we're in overnights, the way me and him look at it is day shift besides a certain person shouldn't be touching anything inventory-wise. Like, nobody should be working stuff out or putting stuff back in. So for a few days, he kept getting more frustrated because he was working electronics and kept pulling things out that they had scanned in that he pulled out the night before for 2-3 days in a row. To where finally it made sure it got out, didn't end up back. So I'm going to steal, and I agree with him on where almost your coworkers borderline sabotage you. Because you do all this work and bust your ass, and then
familiar.
They go back and undo almost everything you did, and you have to almost redo it the next.
It's almost like they're working against you, isn't it?
Yeah, I was
just waiting for him to drop the buzzword. Working against.
It feels like at times you wonder are they really trying to just sabotage us? Even though they're probably doing what they think's right, which is
absolutely they are
obviously wrong, but it makes you think I almost think they're doing this on purpose, and it's annoying.
Yeah. Or do you have a good one to finish out? Because mine's kind of passable.
Well, I was going to talk about.
Mine's just crazy scenarios. So.
We had a gentleman come in last week before last, and he would come in to return a Tonka truck, Power Wheels that he'd ordered on the internet. Now I can get into a whole other thing about the internet and all how it pertains to our store and everything else, and why people tend to bring things that they purchased on the internet into our store and expect things to go off without a hitch or whatever. Anyway.
I didn't technically buy this from you, but I expect you to make it as if I did.
Yeah, the guy brings it in. He's unhappy with it. He said that, I bought this. It doesn't run well. Dinged up when I got it and all this, and he wants to return it. Once again, he purchased it on the internet. So someone delivered it to his house. He got a packing slip from the website, and that's who he purchased it from. Our store is a totally different entity than the internet. So we get our stuff from a different warehouse. We get charged different. We can't look up the transactions the same way. Everything is kept separate. We can give a refund, but you have to have the slip and you only get it back in store credit because you didn't purchase it from our store. So, offered to give the guy the refund, and he's upset because he wants his shipping back. And I explained to him that if he returns it to the distribution center through the internet via contacting them, that he'll get his money refunded because that's how they work, and that's who he paid for that. He argues that he wants it back and he wants us to refund the money. Now, I explained, well, you had a service that was completed for you, which is the item being brought to your house and delivered to you. You can't give me back that service. You can't undeliver
But I brought it to you and delivered it to you.
So I can't give you the money back for the service that's already been rendered. That's already been completed. So we can't go back and take that, and I can't sell it to the next person. If you can't exchange goods and services for your money, then you don't get your money back. He was unhappy about this, cursed at me, had already, made a little scene with our service desk, and he got mad and stormed off, and I said, thanks for being such a gentleman, and he left. He went outside, called someone who I assume was corporate so he could complain because that's the frequent occurrence. But now my assumption is that he went and called his wife, who said, unacceptable, you need to go in and get something for it. And eventually he tucks his tail between his legs, comes back in, nice and polite this time, and takes the refund. I'll gladly take my money. Thank you. I'll drive around back and you can unload this. You guys have a great day.
How did I miss this? How did I miss this going down?
I don't know. It was awesome.
Because all I can think of is this last one that you've dealt with.
But I thought it was quite nice. It's like, why couldn't you just... One, had he not got into it with our service desk, once again, the general rudeness I was talking about, had he not got into an argument with our service desk before I was called up there, I may have marked it down and tried to refund his money. I mean, our company is willing to do it if you return to the distribution center. But when you're being a jerk, people don't want to help you.
Yeah.
So...
I thought about that the other day. It's just like, man, I go so much further out of my way to help somebody who's real nice and polite than when somebody's just like, I'm just like, nah, nothing I can do.
Yep. They still have this mantra that the customer's always right. Like, no, the customer's not always right. Sometimes they're just the worst human beings alive.
That's mine. That's my retail.
I won't go into the one about fellow employee. Instead, I'll go into one that happened yesterday. Talking to a superior of mine, we got some poor results back on a survey, and I had to call my boss's boss. And the comments on the survey were related to incorrect signage, associates pointing them in the wrong direction, things of that nature. Not actually our focus, which is to greet them and make them feel welcome and help them. But when I talked to my boss's boss, he said, don't muddy the waters with all of that. Because I'd stated that I was going to make sure my signage was correct, which I think any respectable person would do. Make sure, hey, why did this happen? Address it. No, instead I was told, no, you just need to make sure you're talking to all your people and offering them help. And I was just like, great. I'll explain that to my guys. And it just, I got off the phone, and I was just like, day made instantly by someone missing the point. The guy I'm supposed to look to as an ultimate resource missed the point.
It almost sounds like that retraction from the original. Like, you get that bad survey, you need to track down the employees that were involved, talk to them. You need to watch video. You need to do all this and that and make sure it never happens again. Now,
I didn't need to watch a video because it had nothing to do with the transaction. There was one of them did complain that the cashier knew nothing about their job, but I'm not going to see that watching the camera.
It's a seasonal cashier.
Right, and it was her third, fourth shift, maybe. So, my response to that was, well, I have an experienced, successful cashier coming in the evening. She works a mid-shift. I will have the successful cashier pair up with the unsuccessful cashier and address some of the weaknesses. Nope. Just say hello and offer them help. I was just like, great. Absolutely. I don't know. That's all. I mean, really abrupt end, but just, it made my day. It's a scenario that I don't think I should encounter at work. I think someone should use context clues and be able to address the situation one-on-one basis, you know, instance by instance, as opposed to, well, here's my blanket statement.
Greet everyone.
Greet everyone and offer them all help. If you do, those numbers will come back up. All right. But when my signage is wrong again and I get another unhappy customer, I want to hear it. I greeted them and assisted them.
If you had greeted that person and offered them assistance, you could have answered the question about the incorrect cell signage, and that issue wouldn't have came to be.
It's not true. Because our directive now is to greet them and assist them when they come in the door so that we cannot miss them. So they had not come.
But see, had you stopped them when they came in and walked them to the item they were looking for,
I might have been able to help them.
they would have said, oh, this must be this price. And you could have said, no.
It is not. The price for the item you're looking for is under the item.
Not to mention you're outnumbered 4 or 5 to 1. You should be a personal shopper and answer questions.
Are you kidding me? So you thought the price was above it?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. That's my fault. That's my fault. The signage was not above it, or was above it, or
that's not how anything works in any place ever.
That's how it works in the brain of my book.
Walmart, they have those big signs that hang up that have a price above it.
I will admit I'm wrong if you find me one store in the world that has something on the shelf and the price is above it.
Okay.
On normal shelves. Not like a big hang down like with an arrow. Like this display is on sale.
I'm going to Aldi's tonight because all their prices are above the items.
God, that's so stupid.
This is going to take a picture, screenshot to Jay.
That's right. Jay will be in the news tomorrow. He'll have killed himself.
Alright, what we got for next time?
I'm going to tear into that music.
What do you mean?
Into that artist. And address today's choice. I'm going to be the grouchy old man who's closed-minded and hateful towards today's stuff.
Well, how about our top 5? What we want to get into?
I don't know.
It's a surprise.
It's a surprise. We'll come up with it and
we'll have a post-show meeting, and maybe we'll post it on Facebook for the next show.
Tune in and find out.
Well, had a blast. Thank you, guys.